if there was ever a figure, although that's the thing, it should never really be about the person, although we have to respect and appreciate the person when you're talking about, philosophical principles and all those things, and espousing truths and objective reason and logic and stuff. But it really should never be the person. But if you are going to be talking about a person as far as like women and who they should look up to, appreciate, and respect, as far as advancing not just women, but even all of humanity to proper critical thinking skills, objective reason, and logic, this is the woman here that all feminists, I mean, I'm not a woman, obviously. But my goodness, if I was, this is someone that, I mean, you talk about trying to raise and elevate women. She did 1,000 times better job at doing that than any of these, statists or feminazis that use the power of the state to force their preferences or ideologies onto people. Ayn Rand recognized, no, use proper logic, proper intellect, compassion, reason, education as your means to an end. But here we got Trudeau. I mean, look at Justin, man. And have you seen some of the videos with him and his wife? There's some really fucked up people there. They're case studies for psychologists, man. You just look at what they do and how they present themselves, and the fact that, little Trudeau boy, he come from a really fucked up family. His dad was he was a control freak and a sociopath in his own mind, right? And I suppose while he was off busy being that control freak and sociopath, I guess maybe his mommy was raising little Trudeau, and I guess that feminism and his dad, I don't know, like I say, I try not to get into the psychological aspect of each individual's case because I'm not there, so it's all pure speculative. But Justin Trudeau identifies himself, and he's supposed to be a man, right, as a feminist. Anyone knows. Put all the political bullshit and the propaganda and the political correctness away, and in reality, any man that describes himself as a feminist, what the fuck? Yeah, I already have a problem. I already have issues with that. There's already alarm bells ringing, and signing off, or screaming at you at that point, right? But here we got New Democrats urge feminist PM to table pay equity law by the end of 2016. So law, right? Think about how they put this. New Democrats urge feminist PM to table pay equity law by end of 2016. So it's like, oh, you want to act like a feminist, stand up for ladies? Well, yeah. Just like these ladies or the men that are really ladies, because the NDP, most of them, look at them all. I don't even care if Montclair puts a beard on. You could put a beard. Even in the circus, there was such thing as a beard of a lady, but we all understood she was still a lady, right? But these New Democrats, they're making, first of all, Trudeau look like a fucking idiot for describing himself as feminist. And all these guys that are sticking their tail between their legs and cow tailing to their women or their feminazi counterparts. For us real men, and I love my wife. Talk to my wife anytime and she'll tell you. I'm all men, fully, wholeheartedly. And I accept and promote male responsibility, the male role, and she accepts and respects the female role and responsibilities. And we find some way to always come together when there's anywhere in our lives or our relationship where we get to find some way where we can help each other. But my wife would not respect me for 1 minute if I ever described myself as a feminist. She's not a lesbian, right? She don't want a feminist. She wants a man. Any woman that wants a feminist as a husband, like this Sophie, I don't know. Does she strap one on? Does Trudeau bend over for her? I don't know. What happens in the bedroom, that's their business, right? I don't give a fuck, personally. But It is a sad reality that the leader of Canada is a self-described feminist. If that don't disturb every self-respecting, dignified male in this country, well, I don't know what else that could possibly mean. I'm not a psychologist, and I don't play one on TV. Women in federally regulated jobs earned 87 cents for every dollar earned by men last year, according to StatsCan. So once again, these StatsCan studies, which is, and I know, yes, I've used a couple of them before where I say, but I mean, let's think about that in reality. Obviously, they can be manipulated, misconstrued to meet any criteria, or, well, it's all about perception, right? Perception. But even if this was true, let's just give StatsCan the benefit of the doubt and say that it is true. That women in federally regulated jobs earned 87 cents for every dollar earned by men last year. You already have government control. It says right there. It's right fucking there in the headline. Federally regulated jobs. So if the federal government is regulating those jobs and women are earning 13 cents less than men, well, that should tell you that, is that not an admission of failure on the part of governments, of central planners? But we all know what it really means is if you take the culmination of all men that work whatever, whether it's demographics or job field or whatever, occupation, if you take the culmination over, let's say they start at 20 till they're 65 and there's 45 years or whatever that they've worked, they'll take the culmination of all that wealth over 45 years and the wealth of a man and a female, and they'll see that, oh, well, the female didn't make as much. But they won't tell you that, oh, well, those women took time off to have, maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 kids, or took many absentee days or sick leave or whatever reason. Well, they just try to present that as if, women are treated worse than men by the federal government. Well, hell, that's out in the private sector. I've worked in the private sector my whole life. Never had a government job in my life. Never would want one. I'd rather, slit my own throat than work for the government, to be honest with you. But I've never seen it in any job or any occupation or any friends or family or neighbors or anyone that I've ever known. Have I ever heard of a real world scenario where 2 people were doing the same occupation, the same job, with the same experience, same competency, but were paid, the woman was paid less, but the man was paid more. I mean, only a stupid business owner would pay a woman that's just as competent as a man, pay them less. Where the fuck would that make sense? If you do that, the woman's going to go to another company. The other company will recognize that, oh, I can make more profit off this woman. So if they're smart, they'll pay them more. Duh. New Democrats are arguing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to make good on his commitment to advance gender equality by tabling pay equity to legislation before the end of the year, instead of waiting up to 18 months as recommended by a new report tabled in the Commons today. The report, titled "It's Time to Act," makes 31 recommendations. It was drafted by a special committee tasked by the Commons to study why men are making more than women for work of equal value. So like I said, no matter which way you look at this scenario, even if this was, let's say it was all true, who makes the rules? The government. So does that not tell you that asking government to set better rules is not? The fucking insane logic of this, right? I do believe that the Prime Minister has been clear that he is a feminist, said NDP Sherry Benson, co-chair of the Special Committee on Pay Equity, during a news conference on Parliament Hill Thursday. I feel that this is an important opportunity that we could step up right away and put some walk behind the talk. If we wait 18 months, we could be at the end of the Parliament again and not have legislation to protect women's human rights to equal pay for work of equal value, Benson said. The Special Committee heard that Statistics Canada 2015 labor force survey showed that women in Canada earned 82 cents for every dollar earned by men, while women in federally regulated jobs earned 87 cents for every dollar earned by men. The report's first recommendation calls on the government to repeal the controversial Public Sector Equitable Compensation Act passed under the previous Conservative government. The committee heard that the complaints-based system has resulted in lengthy, costly, and contentious disputes between employers and bargaining agents. The committee was reminded of well-known pay equity disputes involving the federal government, Canada Post, Air Canada, and Bell Canada, several of which ultimately went to the Supreme Court of Canada for resolution, the report said. Status of Women Minister Patricia Hadjou would not commit today to repealing the controversial legislation within 18 months, saying she looked forward to reading and reviewing the report. The gender wage gap is complex, and that equal pay for equal value is something that we completely believe in, but we know that is not the silver bullet to addressing the gender wage gap. There are a lot of other factors that go into addressing that, Hadjou said prior to question period on Thursday. But I mean, basically what they're saying, it's all political doublespeak, but what they're saying is, I'm sure, well, what they're basically trying to say is it's not that clear cut. If you look at the facts, it's like, yeah, no women are paid less than men in the exact same position for the exact same. I mean, think about it. I mean, when have you actually seen that in your real life? Forget about what you've heard bullshit. Use common sense logic and even your own subjective experience, because now, even though your subjective experience is not the end all be all, but when they put on studies and stuff, they're asking people like you, your opinions. So studies are based on your personal observations. What are you seeing out there? What are you personally seeing out in public? Are you seeing that men, are getting paid more for doing the exact same job, being just as productive, all that stuff? Are you seeing that kind of inequality so rampant that you need to create a law? A law. Because remember what a law comes down to. A law is always enforced by the threat of violence, imprisonment, right? I mean, you know what that's all about. So do you see that it's so rampant in Canada that women are treated so unfairly compared to men? I mean, think about that. That there needs to be a law to prop up women in this country? Be honest. Be objective. Be truthful. You know that's not the case. That's not even remotely the case in this country. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.